Everybody, so let's have a quick conversation. I got some clips I want to show y'all, okay, at the end of what I'm saying. But I just wanted to ask everybody, and something you should be aware of. Do y'all know that even though we have all these drones flying around, do y'all know that these drones is spraying stuff on everybody now, okay? Now, y'all follow me down this rabbit hole really quickly. We're not going to go as deep as the rabbit hole goes right now, but we are going down the rabbit hole. So remember how the government said, these are not our drones. We don't know who they is. We don't know where they came from. We don't know what they doing up there, okay? But they not no threat. Now, I'm going to reiterate that sounds crazy to tell us and assure us, oh, they're not a threat. But then in the same breath, you say, we don't know whose drones these are. So you can't tell us they're not a threat if you don't know where they're coming from, right? But now these drones that they don't know who they is, they don't belong to them, and they ain't no threat to nobody, is spraying stuff on the communities that they're over, okay? And so if an unknown drone, many of them are flying across this nation and spraying an unknown chemical, because if the drones is unknown, the chemicals are unknown too, right? I mean, that just makes perfect damn sense to me. Do it make sense to you? It should, unless you're stupid. But, I mean, if you don't know what the drones are, then you don't know what they're spraying on us. How is that not a threat? So anyway, I have no idea, okay? I'm not in the White House with cackling Kamala. I'm not in there with Biden propping him up on a stick with his dead ass. But what I will tell you is that stuff just don't seem right. So let's connect some dots here in this rabbit hole. I don't know if you guys know that in California, they have declared a state of emergency because of this flu virus, bird flu, whatever the heck it is. It's a virus, y'all, okay? And they claim that, you know, people are sick that haven't had any contact with animals. So that's apparently when these, you know, viruses get dangerous, is when they can be transferred from person to person and there's not any animals around, but it was an animal virus. So we should be aware of that. Now, I can't say if this is what it is or not, but remember the World Health Organization told us, and if you don't know, then I'm about to tell you right now, you could go look it up, but we've been talking about this, okay? If you've been watching my platform. The World Health Organization has already said that disease X is coming. Now, X is just a placeholder when you don't know what it's going to be. But they said that it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when, right? And that it will be worse than the last pandemic, than the COVID, okay? This is what they said. Not my words, their words. Now, when the government tells you something like that, you should probably listen to them and believe them, because it's going to happen, because they're going to make it happen, right? And so what is all this stuff that they're spraying on us? Are we getting ready for another pandemic? Is disease X coming? Like, what are you spraying on people? First of all, I mean, let's say that we would say the government admitted these were their drones. They can't say they spraying for mosquitoes because it ain't that time of year. They can't claim that they spray it for anything like that, like we have an outbreak of something, insects and things like that. But I'm going to take you back to the beginning. Remember, these are not their drones. They don't know where these drones come from. They don't know who they is. They don't know what these drones is doing. They do not know. And these drones are spraying stuff on us. So once again, I just want y'all to, like, you know, give it up one time for all of the so-called conspiracy theorists, because y'all think we be crazy, but I don't think I'm crazy. I think some of y'all don't be paying attention, and you crazy for not paying attention. So with that said, y'all, I mean, I'm laughing, but this ain't no laughing joke. I want you to put 2 and 2 together, and then put that 4 and 4 together, and then that 8 and 8, and tell me what you come up with, because the drones are flying over us. They are now dropping stuff on us, right? And then we have this state of emergency in California. Again, remember, it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when, okay?
Our son had gone inside, so he was not affected. He was not outside. He was in the house, but it was a beautiful sunset. The leaves had that autumn glow to them in the twilight of the soon-to-be evening. So my wife and I continued to sit here, again, what we call Hilltop Bar, and suddenly this light appeared, like right here. And I thought it was Mars, which typically you can see first in the evening, but Mars is Mars is always over here. So I knew it wasn't the planet Mars. And I looked at that and I said, what is that? And my wife says, well, I think it's a star. And I said, well, no, it's not. The first thing you can see is Mars. And as a matter of fact, we looked over to where Mars was supposed to be, and we couldn't yet see Mars. And she says, well, maybe it's an airplane. And I said, well, if it's an airplane, why isn't it moving? And why isn't it blinking? It was a solid light. Now listen, here's the difference. This is how you can tell the difference between an airplane and a satellite in the sky. Airplanes have some sort of flashing blinker light, and that's a warning to other aircraft, and that's so, makes the aircraft more visible, makes it safer. When you see a satellite, there is no blinking, and you're actually not seeing a light at all. What you're seeing is the sun's reflection off of that satellite. So it's a constant light, but it does constantly move. Satellites do not hover. They orbit. They have a specific orbit, so they're constantly moving. Now, when they get to the turnaround spot, for the just trying to use layman terms here, I do have a science background, it may appear as if that satellite is hovering very momentarily, but then you'll see it going in a different direction. This was not the case. That light was stationary for a full 5 minutes, and then it came right at us, almost as if it were going to land in our field where our son had just recently been playing football before we went into the house at dark. And then it passed right over top of us, and by this time it was dark enough to what most folks would say dark. And as a matter of fact, once it got over, I looked over to where Mars was supposed to be, and Mars was there. So Mars was there. So this thing comes directly over our head, makes no sound. Listen closely. You can hear an airplane right now. We don't live too far away from our local airport, and if we go in that direction, you hit Richmond International Airport in Richmond, Virginia, and you hit Dulles and Reagan International if you go north from here, directly due north, okay? So we're used to the sounds of airplanes like we're hearing right now. There was no sound, there was no blinking lights. Satellites do not hover. Whatever this was, it hovered for a full 5 minutes, then it was gone, just in time for Mars to come out. I'm going to tell you in just a few minutes how that physically and medically affected my wife and I for the next 3 days from having that experience. But now we're going to go to location number 2, where I had a similar experience by myself without my wife about 1 week ago. And it was a conversation I had with a close friend of mine 2 or 3 days later, where he experienced exact same physical and medical symptoms as me that made me go online, do my research, and find this dire warning from a former U.S. Air Force engineer. Okay, this is the second location where I had my second and thus far last, hopefully, experience with one of these things. You can see behind me, this is one of the places we keep a lot of our firewood. We have several different firewood locations. We have a garden inside of a deer netting here to protect it from the deer. This is where we keep our quails. So approximately 1 week ago, I came out here after dark. It's winter, as a matter of fact, as of this recording, December 21, it's a winter solstice. This is the shortest day of the year. So it wasn't late, it was probably 5:30 p.m. It was dark, however, and I realized we didn't quite have enough firewood inside the house to get us through the night. So I brought one of my totally awesome Beaver carts out to get a load of firewood to take into the house to get us through the night. I came out and I had uncovered the firewood, just like I did this morning when I came out earlier and got some more firewood. I pulled the tarp back and stood there and noticed up in the sky, like right around this point, there was a light. It's just exactly like the light my wife and I had seen there at the end of October from up at our hilltop bar. Now, here's the deal. It was a completely overcast sky. It was dark, I couldn't see the sky, but there were no stars. And earlier in the day, just before dark, when I had been outside, I noticed it was complete cloud cover. So it was not a star. Mars would be way over there, but it would have been covered by clouds anyway. It's hunting season right now, so you're hearing some of my neighbors probably just bagged a big buck back there. But some of my neighbors who actually are country and live a country lifestyle, and who are prepared for all threats, be they domestic or foreign. So anyway, I see this light and I'm staring at it. And I got my wood, I went in the house, and then the next day I had almost exactly the same physical and medical type symptoms, but they were much worse. Okay, my wife was not with me out here that time. Nobody was with me. So my wife and my son, he was never affected because he never saw it either time. My wife was not affected. This time it was only me. This light was not a satellite. It was not moving slowly. It was not aircraft because it didn't blink. And again, if it were a satellite, it would not have remained stationary for that long. I watched it for about a full 2 minutes, and once I realized it wasn't moving, and I remembered back to October when I had that previous experience, I almost ran into the house because I didn't want to have happen what would happen to me over the course of the next 3 days. Now, let me go to another location, and I'm going to tell you specifically how my wife and I were affected after we saw one of these things the first time, how I was specifically and exactly affected when I saw one alone 1 week ago. And I'm going to share with you the information I found from a former U.S. Air Force engineer online in regard to what is potentially going on in regard to these things. Too many people are seeing, yet nobody is being given any answers for what we are seeing.
Look at this mother. Look at him spraying. He is spraying the sky again.
The government knows what is happening. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people.
What is that, Mom? Ma, you see this?
Hello everyone, I'm Max, and today I'm here to maximize your fear. Okay, so we're back with more UFO/UAP/drone footage from New Jersey. You guys seem to absolutely love this topic, so I figured I'd bring you another one. And not only that, but there's also a lot of new updates. The government just made their official statement on what they think these UAPs are, and let me just tell you, it's not very convincing. And it makes this whole thing just look even more scary. And not only this, but more alarming videos of these so-called drones are being released, and they're behaving very strangely. We have one clip where one of these things is shooting light beams out of it. We have another one where it looks like one is spraying strange chemicals out. And we have so many new clear and HD captures of these UAPs as well. I mean, this stuff is just getting crazier and crazier. And if you want me to keep covering this topic, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll definitely keep making more of these. Okay, so let's start off with the US Department of Defense's official statement. As most of you know, the government was claiming they had absolutely no clue what these so-called drones were. They were saying things like, "We have no clue what these things are, but we're taking it very serious." Well, now they claim they know what these drones are. Now, why didn't they just come out and say this right at the beginning when these drone sightings started popping up? I don't know. Regardless, I'm going to read their statement word for word. Here it is. They state, quote, "FBI has received tips of more than 5,000 reported drone sightings in the last few weeks, with approximately 100 leads generated. And the federal government is supporting state and local officials in investigating these reports. Consistent with each of our unique missions and authorities, we are quickly working to prioritize and follow these leads. Having closely examined the technical data and tips from concerned citizens, we assess that the sightings to date include a combination of hobbyist drones and law enforcement drones, as well as planes, helicopters, and stars mistakenly reported as drones. We have not identified anything anomalous and do not assess the activity to date to present a national security or public safety risk over the civilian airspace in New Jersey or other states in the Northeast." Now, what do you mean we haven't identified anything anomalous? What about the drone crash in New Jersey, where the huge drone somehow completely vanished from the crash site without a trace? And what about all these strange photos everyone's capturing? And what about these strange videos everyone's capturing? I think it's pretty obvious that these are not any ordinary drones. I mean, sure, maybe some of them can be mistakenly identified as drones, but some of these are just so outlandish that it's obvious that they're not hobbyist drones, or law enforcement drones, or planes, or helicopters. It's funny to see people respond to these claims. People aren't having it, and aren't believing them for a second. I also just got word that the FAA just banned drone flying in 22 New Jersey cities until January 17th, 2025. If they're not worried about these drones, then why are they banning them in a huge portion of New Jersey? Now watch, even though they're banned, these sightings are still going to continue. Then what are they going to say it is? The FAA states that the restrictions are for special security reasons. They also state that if people violate these restrictions, they will take measures to intercept and detain those in violation. They also said they'll shoot down some of these drones and use, quote, deadly force. Anyways, considering all of this, let's now dive into the clearest and best sightings of these drones that seemingly debunk their claims. This brand new video here has been alarming people, and it's one of the craziest sightings yet. It was posted on December 13th, 2024. Their caption states, "What's going on? The drones seem to be taking action as of today." Take a look.
Look at this mother. Look at him spraying. He is spraying the sky again. Bro, this is crazy, man. Look at this guy. They're spraying the skies.
A man walked out of his residential home this night in New Jersey, and he began watching these drones flying way up in the sky. As he watched, one of the drones, this one in particular, began spraying something out or something. You can tell he's completely shocked. The drone is many, many miles up into the sky, but somehow a perfect beam of light stretches on for miles, down towards the ground. Now come on, you're telling me this is just a regulated drone? I don't think so. Now yes, planes create trails that look kind of similar to this, but at night they wouldn't look like this. This trail here almost looks to be illuminated in the dark night sky. And this doesn't look like a plane. Along with this video comes another one with one of these UAPs doing something strange. This one here comes from Middletown, New Jersey, specifically right by the bay there. It was posted on December 12th, 2024, a day before the one I just showed. The caption says, "What are they shooting at or dispensing?" Take a look. First, we see a couple bright lights and a red blinking light moving throughout the sky. Then this thing starts shooting out red beams of light at tremendous speeds. I mean, this UAP is already traveling at least a couple hundred miles per hour, judging by how quickly it's moving throughout this area of the sky. But the beams of red light travel way faster than the craft. An unimaginable speed. This almost looks like that old game Galaga where you shoot out the missiles at the drones. That's what it reminded me of for some reason. But this one here is no game and it's real life. So first we have these crazy looking UAP sightings, and now we have these UAPs shooting things out and dispensing things. Definitely some pretty alarming stuff. Do you guys have any theories for this clip here? Back on the topic of strange looking drones or UAPs caught on camera, this one here is probably the strangest of them all. And of course it comes from New Jersey. The uploader of the strange footage that was taken on December 7th states, "Drone mothership spotted at 2 a.m. in New Jersey." It looks like the Xbox logo out there. How big is this thing? I would say this is one of the most compelling videos yet. This strange and absolutely huge craft is just hovering out there. It has no lights, trying to remain stealthy. But it was still easily caught on camera. It really does look like the Xbox logo like this guy states. It's white and seems to be a curved X shape. This one can't just be a plane or just any ordinary drone because of the hovering ability and the immense size. If you pay close attention, you can see a dim light orb appear and disappear in the top right-hand corner of the screen. But it's unknown if this is just a visual glitch or something. Speaking of orbs, that's a perfect way to segue into this next clip. Now, not only are these UAPs just appearing as strange crafts, but they're also now appearing as otherworldly orbs. This is a brand new exclusive clip that was just uploaded an hour earlier from the time I'm filming this. It was posted on December 19th and titled, "Possible Orb Sighting in New Jersey."
They just removed Dad! 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 I think Mommy's gonna sign me up. I think Mommy's gonna sign me up.
Now, unlike these other videos, this one was taken in broad daylight, making it extremely convincing. If it was night, people would be saying, oh, this is just a star. But obviously stars aren't out during the day, especially ones this bright and odd looking. It almost looks like it's two combined or something when they zoom in. And even if this was taken at night, it still doesn't even look like a normal star. It looks like a star trying to disguise itself as a star or something. I don't know how else to describe it. The father was outside playing with his children when he spotted this out-of-place light.
And again, if you watch my other video, the port strikes are probably coming back. Trump is about to, place these tariffs on everybody right here in January. There's a lot that's going on. And the bottom line in all of this is that you should probably be prepared for whatever. You know, the stay ready so you don't have to get ready motto. Like, don't wait until it's too late, because that's the key word right there. It's too late, okay? So, what you should have. Michi, what should I do to be ready? Well, you should have supplies of the things that you need in your home. Again, I'm going to reiterate, don't go out and start panic buying. You should have been doing this stuff, right? But make sure that you have some supplies, food, things of that nature. Make sure that you have something that you can filter water with if your power doesn't work, so that, if you can't turn on your stove to boil that water, you can simply get a light straw from Walmart. You can go to MX Survival. I'll put the link to that in the description of this video. And you can go over there to that website. It got all kind of stuff. But you need a light straw. You don't have to be an expert at filtering water. You need something for your power, candles, flashlights, but you're gonna need batteries. I prefer a solar generator, you guys, and so you can look at some of those because they have them out there. You can also go to Walmart too, you guys, not Walmart, Home Depot, or you can order it online, but you can get like a 100-gallon water storage container. And when I brought that up before, somebody asked me like, how long can you keep the water in there? Well, you can keep it in there indefinitely. That's what they're made for. But I switch it out like every maybe 6 months, right? Switch it out and put more water in there. But it's a lot, so it'll take a lot to fill it up. But you should just be prepared, right? And anybody who thinks that's extreme, at the end of the day, imagine being caught in the bullshit and you have nothing. It won't be extreme then, will it?
So what were the physical effects I alluded to that both my wife and I experienced when we saw this thing together? And then what effects were the physical and medical outcome on myself when I saw one just last week alone? So when my wife and I saw one together, again, at the end of October, the next day, I felt as if I had what I'm going to refer to as the little C, okay? It's a particular virus, and social media is very fickle. Sometimes you can say the word and they don't care, but then sometimes you can say the word and they'll unmonetize your content or delete the video or maybe even remove your channel. I don't know what mood social media is in today, so I'm going to use the term little C. And I know that you're smart folks, you're picking up what I'm laying down. According to, listen, folks who watch my content on social media are smarter, happier, and more entertaining to be with than folks who do not watch my content on social media, according to a poll I just made up. So I know you're picking up what I'm laying down. For the next 3 days, I had muscle pains, I had a low-grade fever. Sometimes these symptoms would go away and I would feel just fine, and I would go out and do something like maybe start to split firewood or just walk around the property to maybe check on the honeybees or the quails or the fruits. the fruit orchards. We had some late season fruit still being bared at that time. It was late October. But then all of a sudden, bam, I was so exhausted. I felt like I'd just run 10 or 12 miles, and I'm a runner, so I know that feeling. And I would have to go in the house and lay down and take a nap. This lasted for 3 days, and I was convinced I had the little C. I've had it twice. It felt very similar to that. Now, my wife, and I'm not trying to be gross, this is medical terminology. For 3 days, she felt as if she was beginning her menstrual cycle. And what was odd about it was that she had just finished it. And so we had concerns for her that she might be having some sort of female medical condition. And we had actually called our doctor to set an appointment. Now, on the 4th day, I was miraculously recovered. I had no symptoms of anything, nor did my wife, and we canceled her doctor's appointment. It was the strangest thing. To this day, I can't explain it. Now, let's go to scenario number 2. When I was out just 1 week ago getting firewood to burn that night inside the house, my wife wasn't with me, our son was inside. I saw it by myself. The next day, and for 3 days in totality, I thought I was going to die. I had never felt that bad in my life. It was worse. The first time I had the little C, it was pretty rough, and I lost my sense of smell and taste for 3 months. When I lived in the Philippines, I had dengue fever on top of bronchitis, and I was in a hospital for 4 days. I thought I was going to die that time. What I had last week, whatever it was, felt worse than that, and at one point, I almost went to the ER. On the 4th day, I woke up feeling as if I could go out and run 10 or 12 miles. And as a matter of fact, I did go out and do a speed workout. That's where you do multiple sprints over and over with very short recovery in between. I hadn't felt that good in ages. So here's why I started digging. It wasn't just because of my experience, but that particular day was a day in which that evening we had basketball practice. I'm a head basketball coach for a youth organization. I've got a couple of assistant coaches who are wonderful gentlemen, great group of kids. There's another coach I know I've been friends with for a long time. We've coached together off and on throughout the years. He's a close personal friend of mine. He is a master of defense on basketball, particularly the zone. And we've been struggling to get my kids on our team to be able to switch from a typical box zone into a 2-3 or a 3-2 when we scream it out, because they're trying to figure out, okay, now where do I go? They're middle school age kids. So I contacted this coach. I texted him. I said, hey, coach, we've got practice tonight. Can you come and help me work with these kids on that zone defense? Because I've never seen anybody explain it the way you do. And that's true. He can explain it one time, and it can be kids that never even played basketball before, and they've got it, okay? He texts back, and he says, Coach, thanks for the invite, and I'd love to come, but I am sick as a dog. And this was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and our practice it's late. It's not until 7. He says, I fell asleep at noon, and I just woke up. And I texted back, and we had this conversation going, and I let him know that I recently felt bad too. And I said, maybe something's going around. Have you heard anything about anything that's going around? And he says, Coach, call me crazy, but I think it's from the drones. And I said, what? He sent me a screenshot that he had taken just a few days before, which would have coincided with the specific night that I was outside getting firewood when I saw that light in the sky, whatever it was. Somebody that lives halfway between he and I, okay? He lives, as the crow flies, it's probably 16 miles away. He's got a friend, a gentleman I don't know, but I may be talking to very soon, that lives right in the middle of us. It's about 8 miles away. He told me where the guy lives. I drive by this guy's house on my way to basketball practice, okay? This guy saw one of those things in the sky, took a picture and put it on his Facebook account and said, what is this? And it may have been the very same one that I saw. I don't know. So I start digging around because I've just heard talk of this here recently, but I don't know what people are talking about. And I'm thinking, it's just another conspiracy theory or whatever. And I don't buy into just flat, straight out conspiracy theories. I'm entertained by them. But let me tell you, as someone, and I'm speaking to myself, who did serve in the military, who did have a security clearance, and who did have to sign non-disclosure agreements throughout my career, especially in certain locations that still, some of these disclosures will not lapse until 25 years after certain presidents who are still not very old and very healthy have died. And they make you do that because they know more than likely you're going to be long dead as well before the non-disclosure agreement expires. So with that said, I start digging around and I find some information online. I'm finding reports on legacy media outlets about this stuff. I start going through the comments because clearly the government isn't telling us anything. The folks who are supposed to be in the know aren't telling us anything. And I saw one snippet. I watched multiple outlets. Listen, I'm not biased. I'm not political. I want to know the facts. Give me the facts and let me make my mind up. So I'll watch snippets from CNN, and then I'll watch a snippet from Fox News. I'll watch the BBC, MSNBC, PBS, NPR. I want to gather as much information as I can because all of these organizations slant it the way they want to have it slanted. And then I try to figure out where in this junk might there be some facts. And usually it's in the comment section. So I'm going to share with you now a comment that I got from one of those legacy media outlets. I can't remember specifically which one this was, but this was left 7 days ago, and it wasn't some corny name like some of the emails I get. It's just some person with a very anonymous type user ID and this came from a YouTube channel. So here's what he says. I don't want to step on anybody's toes in the government or anything, but I served a bit in the U.S. Air Force, worked as an engineer in defense contracting, and basically in national security, everything provocative and unidentified is considered a threat until identified and determined otherwise. And as a combat veteran who served in Iraq as a machine gunner, I can confirm that that's a fact. For those of you who never served in the military, that's just a simple, basic fact, okay? These incompetent people are doing the exact opposite of instilling confidence in the American people. Just acknowledge it's happening and present a strategy to confront the problem. If you cannot do that, then you need to step down immediately. And I'm not saying I'm the expert here either. I just know this basic fact. When you really look at what happened here in Western North Carolina after Helene, the response to these drones, the genocides, Ukraine, and the total inability of these people to stop insurers from murdering 50,000 Americans every year, I think we need to start talking about the Declaration of Independence. This absolutely is a threat. If they don't know what the drones are, can't oppose them, and have no plan to oppose them other than more gaslighting of the American public. If that's all they have, then we need to replace the government. We pay taxes for literally nothing but our deaths. So folks, there you have it. Them's the facts. Those were my two honest to the God of your understanding or choosing truth of the first time I experienced it along with my wife. Both of us became very ill over the next few days, but had a miraculous recovery on the fourth day. Then when I experienced it by myself just last week, same thing. And then a friend of mine who lives 16 miles away who saw one that night, and I left that out of our conversation. He mentioned having seen the light, and one of his buddies got a picture of it, put it on Facebook. My buddy experienced the same thing. And as of now, as a matter of fact, this morning, that's why I got the idea for this video. He said, hey, coach, I'm 100% now. Can I come to your next practice and help your kids with that zone defense? I said, yes, glad to hear you're better, coach. Absolutely want you there.